Welcome to Multiplayer Minds, where we actively expect to use our minds to log into a world where we can encounter God, angels, and demons. This is not a conventional Christian channel, but it is based on a Christian theology. You're welcome no matter what you believe. I'm not trying to prove anything to you. But please don't try this at home without a certain level of spiritual protection, which in my experience comes through Jesus. I want you to picture a video game. So there's another world that's generated when you load into this game. A world that you can walk around in, you can interact with things. There might be a lot of creatures or robots that might help you or attack you. So it's a populated, active world with lots of things going on. Of course, we know that the only things that are real are numbers on a computer and you. Basically, you are the only thing in this world that's real. And we accept that because there's still payoff in how that world affects us. But everything that happens in that game really doesn't matter. You've probably customized your character before, made your character look more like you, or maybe you made it look tough and intimidating, or maybe you made it look silly and bizarre. But that says something about you. Whether you aspire to be cool or funny or quirky, your avatar doesn't look like you, obviously, but it does represent you. Now, let's make it a multiplayer game. It's the same world, it's got all the same things in it, but you are not the only real thing in that world now, because other players are joining. Now, all you can see is their avatar. The way they chose to design their avatar doesn't look like them, but it does say something about them, and they are real. So you and the other person that joined the game are kind of meeting each other in a world that's not real. The appearances are fake, but they're actual people. You can talk to them and interact with them, and you're talking to real people. They might behave a little crazy, depending on what game it is, but it's still a real interaction with somebody. Now, let's imagine that one of your friends has moved away somewhere, like maybe the cell towers don't go there, and maybe Okay, enough excuses. The idea is that you can only meet them in this game. If it's a game with chat, especially voice chat, you can just keep meeting up. Whatever craziness is going on in the game may or may not particularly have anything to do with your relationship, but you could still maintain your relationship with that person. It's still a back and forth between two real people. It looks like whatever weird characters you designed, all the stuff going on in the world is still not real, but your interaction with your friend is real. And when you're trying to have one-on-one with your friend, some other crazy troll could just roll in and try to screw around with you. But that's just part of the game. I mean, there's a lot of entities in the game that look like people, but the NPCs aren't real. They're just more numbers. But your friend is real, and so are the trolls. It's just you, your friend, and a bunch of random people. Some of them could be your friends. Some of them could be really irritating. What you're imagining in cyberspace kind of works like that in mental space and spiritual space. Now, what I'm talking about is your imagination. Obviously, people had spiritual connections before there was any technology, but the technology gives us a really good picture here. When you're in your imagination, you could picture anything around you. Anything could happen. Some things come in your imagination because you want them to be there. Some things come in because you don't want them to be there. And some stuff is just random. But you do know that everything in your imagination is not real. The only thing in that space that is real is your own mind. I'm going to tell you that's not always completely true. This has been kind of a hack for me, kind of a life hack, mind hack, spiritual hack, if you will. I don't know if this was intended, but it's interesting. You are the only thing that's real in your imagination because you're playing single player. What I'm talking about is opening up to multiplayer and allowing other real beings to join or interact with you. Now, if that happened, those interactions with those real beings would be real, even if in your imagination you still see lots of things that are not real. And they could show themselves to you almost like a video game avatar, where they kind of choose how they represent themselves to you. Like they use things that you've already seen or imagined to visually describe who they are. I mean, it's your mind, your server, so they're using your graphics. You still have to be kind of careful. Okay, you have to be plenty careful, because when they're designing their character, they aren't restricted to presenting themselves in a truthful way. But you could really meet them. For me, that means that even though there's all sorts of noise and fake stuff in your head, you could meet God, you could meet Jesus, and you'd run into lots of angels and demons too. And if you're careful, you can sort through what's real and what's not, and who you can trust and who you can't. And you can open yourself up to a whole world of spiritual life around you. You don't have to believe me, and I'm not here to prove it to you, but for me, it's not just a possibility, it's my life. It's my daily routine. Stick around with Multiplayer Minds, and we'll be discussing how this all works, how to do it safely, and how this can benefit you. If you find this interesting, let me know in the comment section. Any feedback will help keep this coming and let me address what you're curious about.